Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Blackbraid entitled Blackbraid II. This is the sophomore studio album from this one-man Native American black metal project, that one man in question being Skawasawa. Damn, I fucked that up. Like, the moment those syllables left my mouth, I knew that I fucked that name up to hell and back. In the fucking trivia section of the Blackbraid Encyclopedia Metalum page, it literally spells out this guy's fucking alias. Goddamn, I'm such a stupid fucking idiot sometimes. Skagasowa. Yeah. Real name John Krieger. This man, Skagasowa, real name John Krieger, handles everything from guitar, bass, vocals, drums, production, lyrics. Slight correction here, ladies and gentlemen. While Skagasowa does handle a vast majority of the instrumentation, drums, and the mixing and mastering as well is done by Neil Schneider. So, shout out to Neil Schneider, I suppose. All of Blackbraid's music has been released independently as well, both this album and last year's self-titled debut. Remarkably, despite that, and also despite being an extremely brand new band, having only literally debuted last year, Blackbraid have already seen a lot of success, and there's been a lot of hype and buzz and talk surrounding Blackbraid as a result of that. The aforementioned self-titled debut is looked upon as perhaps one of the best and most important black metal albums of 2022. It found its way onto a ton of end-of-the-year lists. And also, on top of that, it earned them a slot opening for Dark Funeral and Cattle Decapitation on their most recent tour. With this in mind, expectations for Blackbraid II were pretty sky high going into Blackbraid II. It's not unfair to say that this was one of the most anticipated black metal releases of 2023. And I would say now, having listened to the full album, having spent a good amount of time with it, most of my expectations have been met. Would I argue that this is perhaps slightly overhyped? Honestly, yes. But I can at least understand where a lot of that hype is coming from. I can at least understand why so many people are full-on loving this thing. And I think that even from my perspective, there's a lot to enjoy and respect and appreciate about this album and what it tries to achieve. This is cold, classic, Scandinavian second wave style black metal with Native American garnishes and spices just gently thrown on top and rubbed ever so gently in. Some would call this epic. I can understand that. I think the terms spiritual and adventurous are more fitting here because of how this record pulls influence from Native American history and folklore and storytelling. On top of that, the music and production paints an absolutely stunning, almost picturesque portrait of the Adirondack Mountains. A fitting substitute, I would say, for the Scandinavian mountains that we're normally forced to trek upon with a black metal record. Most importantly, Skagasowa, through Blackbraid, sounds more confident and more determined than ever before, and as such, I feel very comfortable saying Blackbraid II is a much more triumphant and urgent and cohesive record than Blackbraid I. I'd go as far as to say that at times this album is every bit as brutal and visceral as Native American history itself. The Spirit Returns, for instance, is every bit as frosty as it is fiery, filled with passion, anger, darkness, hatred, everything you want from classic black metal, though now filtered through the Native American experience and also updated with more modern production and songwriting techniques. Like, there are some cool variations on the standard black metal tremolo riffage. There are some more epic and cathartic and cinematic soundscapes as well. The vocals, too, are consistently nasty and acidic, as if Skagasawa himself is sneering and snarling at you. Love the way it contrasts the more ferocious black metal riffage with some slower, kind of pounding, epic heavy metal riffage as well. It almost feels like something I would hear from Wolves in the Throne Room. There's also The Wolf That Guides the Hunter's Hand, another epic and adventurous cut that at times feels like something that I could have heard from like war metal era Bathory back in the day. Speaking of, the album's inclusion of a cover of A Fine Day to Die is also genuinely fantastic. A nice, passionate, evocative, cathartic, cinematic way to close out the record. Songs like Twilight Hymn of Ancient Blood and Sadness in the Passage of Time and Memory have a lot of interesting dynamics and a lot of interesting atmospherics. I like how the latter track specifically centers itself with some very rustic and organic acoustic guitar, bringing in more emotive atmospheric textures and soundscapes, creating something that, you know, genuinely has the weight of like an orchestral piece of music. And of course, I'd be remiss not to mention the album's undeniable big hit and highlight, Moss-Covered Bones on the Altar of the Moon. One of the few songs from this album that was released in advance, and it's easy to see why. Without question, one of the most progressive and exciting cuts on the record. Love how more traditional drums and woodwinds are brought into the mix. I love how varied the track is. I love all of its different tempos and movements. Definitely the most original and creative piece you'll find here on this record. I would argue it's a little bit fatty, clocking in at just over 13 minutes, and on that note, I'd also add the record as a whole would probably benefit from having like maybe 5 to 10 minutes completely trimmed off. But all in all, it's hard to really argue when the vast majority of the material here is really, 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 really fucking good. I think I'm feeling a 4 to 5, maybe leaning towards a 3.5 to 5, but it's a 4 to 5 nonetheless. I'm still gonna argue this thing is a little bit overhyped. Like, I'm seeing a lot of 5 out of 5 scores and a lot of people saying this is an album of the year contender. That's simply not how I'm feeling. That's simply not where I'm at. But I do understand why other people are saying this. I can understand where those people are coming from. Specifically, if you've been looking for real Native American representation within, like, metal and extreme music, then, I mean, this is a breath of fresh air. Like, this channels so much of the Native American plight and so much of Native American indigenous culture and history through black metal, while staying pretty true to what makes black metal such an exciting and fulfilling genre for so many people. In the future, I personally would like to see Blackbraid go even more progressive, go even more creative, get even more wild, bring in even more Native American musical influences, because I think that would just make them a lot more interesting. But as it stands, I still think this is a really great album, and even if I'm not loving it to the extent of other people, I definitely am still thoroughly enjoying it. Once again, a 4 to 5, leaning slightly towards a 3.5 to 5, but a 4 nonetheless. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.